Hello, this is my Pillar 5 ECG Understand token. I'm going to talk about the anatomical structures involved in myocardial depolarization. So you can kind of see that in my little functional block diagram that I made. First, I'm going to talk about the sinoatrial node and kind of what depolarization is and how it starts. So the tissue will depolarize. The resting membrane potential is negative, meaning there are more positive charges outside the cell and more negative charges inside the cell, which is about negative 60 millivolts. And then the cell has leaking ion channels, which causes a rapid increase in the membrane voltage to about plus 40 volts. And that positive voltage causes a contraction of the cell, and then that recovers and goes back to the resting membrane potential. So the SA node is an oscillator, and then depending how that rapidly that rate changes will be your heart rate. So depolarization starts in your SA node, and then it spreads over both of the atria because it's a conductive material. The walls of the atria are thin, but they will contract. Then the depolarization kind of collects at the AV node, which is the atrioventricular node, and the AV node is slow. It takes 90 milliseconds for depolarization to spread over the atria, and the signal coming out of the AV node does not occur until 160 milliseconds. This is because atria have to contract, and we have to move a portion of the volume of that blood into the ventricles, and it takes a bit of time to do that transfer. When the AV node fires, the signal travels across the bundle of His and the Purkinje fibers very rapidly to the ventricles. Our heart has three pacemakers: the SA node, the AV node, and the ventricles themselves, because they all have leak channels. The frequency of 1 is greater than the frequency of 2, which is greater than the frequency of 3. The fastest pacemaker captures the rate of a normal heart. ECG, the most common is lead 2, which is from right arm to left leg. The negative electrode is on the right arm, and the positive is on the left leg, and it measures the voltage difference. So the P wave over here on the left is the atrial depolarization. The PR segment is the AV delay. The QRS wave, or QRS complex, is the ventricular depolarization, and this wave is much bigger because the mass of the ventricles is greater than the atria. The ST segment right here is the time between the depolarization of the ventricle muscle and the T wave, which is the repolarization of the ventricle muscle. You might notice that the repolarization of the atria is not represented really in the ECG, or we didn't talk about it. That's because the repolarization of the atria muscle is hidden within the QRS complex. Next, this is the dipole model. The depolarization wavefront can be represented as a dipole. A dipole is just a positive and negative charge. And so this kind of just represents the wavefront kind of moving across like a cell. And it's a way to visualize and help us interpret surface voltage waveforms. That's everything. Thanks for watching.